Tonight on UI7 News. After shooting a deputy and an unknown woman in Rockford, a fugitive is in custody. We'll have the story coming up.
And former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort is in court today facing a sentencing that can imprison him for the rest of his life. What will the sentencing be? We'll be on top of that.
And we'll see what happened when a student government resolution bill seeking to define and prevent anti-Semitism was voted on.
UI7 News starts right now.
From the Richmond Journalism Teaching Studio at the University of Illinois campus, UI7 News, your U of I news source.
Happy Thursday and welcome to UI7 News. I'm Mike Foyles.
I'm Ariel Majeski, and we've got a lot coming up on today's show, but first, some breaking news. We start today with breaking news from Rockford, where a deputy working with the state marshals was shot this morning and has died from his injuries. Police say that 39-year-old Floyd E. Brown opened fire when he was served an arrest warrant by the Marshal Service. Brown fled the scene, taking off down I-55 with law enforcement officials in pursuit. Brown has barricaded himself in his car and is in a standoff with law enforcement.
Unfortunately, we were just notified that the McHenry County deputy has passed away from his injuries. Subsequently, the pursuit came down here into District 9, and that's where we are right now. The subject is still in his vehicle.
Brown crashed his car while being chased by law enforcement. He has been charged with attempted murder of the deputy. Police just named the deputy who passed away Jacob Keltner of the McHenry County Sheriff's Office. We will keep you up to date with the story as it develops.
Today, a federal judge is in process of sentencing Paul Manafort for 2 counts of bank fraud, 5 counts of tax fraud, and 1 count of failing to declare a foreign bank account. The jury has yet to reach a unanimous decision on 10 other charges, but his hearing is coming on the way. He could face up to 24 years in prison, along with millions of dollars in fines.
The White House rejected a demand from the House Oversight Committee to grant access to documents concerning security clearances. This happens as Democrats expand their investigations into President Trump and his administration. CNN's Abby Phillip takes a closer look at the White House strategy to deal with this new era of Democratic oversight.
Facing an onslaught of congressional investigations on multiple fronts, the White House is preparing to push back, CNN has learned.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to our country. I'm not surprised that it's happening.
White House aides tell CNN they will look for ways to limit cooperation with a wide-ranging probe by the Judiciary Committee, now led by Democrats.
And we have to find out what's been going on, and we have to lay out a case to the American people and reveal it.
The committee sent letters to 81 people and entities tied to Trump, including his 2 oldest sons, looking into the president's business dealings and whether he abused power and obstructed justice while in office. Aides are looking at ways to limit the number of documents provided to lawmakers, including those from his time in office. Trump hinting at that strategy after a bill signing event today.
President Obama, from what they tell me, was under a similar kind of a thing, didn't give 1 letter. They didn't do anything. They didn't give 1 letter of the request. Many requests were made. They didn't give a letter. It's too bad, because I'd rather see them do legislation.
But that plan may only have limited success.
For people who work in a senior capacity at the White House, they cannot use executive privilege to cover up evidence of crimes or other misconduct. If they try to do that, we will negotiate with them. If we still don't get those documents, then we'll look at issuing subpoenas.
Also today, 2 Democratic lawmakers now asking Attorney General William Barr to open a criminal investigation into whether Trump's son-in-law and top White House advisor Jared Kushner broke the law by omitting foreign contacts on his security clearance forms.
Jared Kushner had to submit 2 forms because actually he had to submit 3 forms. The first 2 were false and misleading, so he should absolutely be investigated.
But Trump telling reporters the investigations are all about politics.
I'm not surprised that it's happening. Basically, they've started the campaign, so the campaign begins. But the campaign's actually, their campaign's been going on for the last 2.5 years, so it's a shame. And the people understand it. When they look at it, they just say presidential harassment.
Well, that's the political climate for now. Why don't we take a quick look at our weather? Emily, what do you have for us?
Absolutely. So we've got a snowy day. If we could take a look outside, we have a shot of what it's like. It's snowing. and we can expect some snow for the rest of the night. But currently, it's 31 degrees outside with those flurries, and we have some flurries coming up for the rest of the night. 1 to 3 inches we're going to accumulate, but I'll have more of the weather later in the show.
Thanks, Emily. The Urbana Public Library hosted its Growing Up in Two Worlds event Wednesday, offering local teens an opportunity to speak out about immigration. Local high school students from across the globe got the chance to tell their immigration story and shed light on some of the difficulties of leaving home. 5 young women from 5 different countries led the panel discussing the greatest challenges of leaving loved ones behind and being foreign in a new place. While their reasons for immigration varied, each of them acknowledged it's never easy to find comfort as an American foreigner.
I think overall is being able to use my voice to help others understand my story, but also understand that there is more to just being undocumented. There's the struggles, there's also the accomplishments of being here and everything we have done throughout our lifestyle just to be where we are.
Members in attendance thanked the panel speakers for their courage sharing such intimate life experiences at a very young age.
While we hear about people sharing their different backgrounds, can we predict how others will bond with them? A sociology professor says not necessarily. Guest and resident at Allen Hall, Dr. Anthony Ocampo spent Wednesday night discussing why most people, including college students, tend to form friendships with people of similar backgrounds. Ocampo focuses on race, immigration, and LGBTQ+ issues. He says the reason he writes about what he does is because when you are able to read about your own community, you are able to feel like you belong.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about college is it's a place for learning, and the biggest challenge I think, particularly for students who are historically underrepresented, is that we're not used to centering our perspectives and centering our story. We're so accustomed to being okay with being an afterthought in our course syllabus or being an afterthought when we watch television. And I think that college is a really great chance for us to practice putting ourselves at the center.
Ocampo says that schools can improve by teaching students how to empathize with others about their differences. He will be having another discussion tonight at 7 p.m.
Talking about settling differences, it's been a year since the GEO agreed on a new contract with the U of I Board of Trustees. Before March 9th last year, graduate employees had no contract for 207 days. They held the longest strike in UC's history. Their new contract has over 10 additions, including a tuition waiver, a 13% increase in minimum wages, some health care coverage, and even specific leave benefits for immigrants. While the contract is a step in the right direction, members say they will continue to bargain for more protections such as summer health care, reappointment raises, and childcare.
People should have the right and ability to make decisions about when they want to have kids, if they want to get married, all of those kinds of concerns without worrying about whether they have to wait for finishing their dissertation and getting a job.
GEO members will hold a noon rally tomorrow at Alma Mater to celebrate their one-year contract.
Speaking of new contracts, another elementary school is developing in Champaign. The Brewer and Russo builders began the demolition of 3 addresses at the corner of James Street and Park Avenue. This will make way for the new Dr. Howard Elementary School, known as Champaign-Urbana's oldest active school building. The school district announced that this construction will close off part of James Street during the demolition of the homes at the current site. The demolition and construction cost about $16 million. The new school will be 2 stories tall and is scheduled to be completed in 2020.
Finishing up on a lighter note, alma otter is still trending on campus.
The internet meme turned potential mascot was included as a referendum on the student ballot this week for the otter should become the school official symbol. Media outlets like Barstool Sports and ESPN picked up the otter story, as well as local newspapers and blogs, showing that there is a transaction for a mascot 12 years after Chief Lanowic's removal.
Still to come on UI7 News.
Between ages for disease treatment and technological changes on campus, there's been a lot of Science Week. This news, we'll break that down in a bit.
Plus, an anti-Semitism resolution was voted on last night and sent back another vote that is expected on Tuesday. Stay tuned for that and all that and more.
100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, producer Roger Blanco. One day, Roger came in complaining about a speed bump on the highway. I wonder who he ran over then.
So you might see Roger, Maddie, and Andrea as more white collar because they're producers, and the rest of us in the class as more blue collar. But, I don't see it that way because I am color blind.
So we're filming this promo, and Roger tells us to be quiet. And then when people aren't quiet, he points at them like a monster. The absolute nerve.
Welcome back to UI7 News as we take a look at the latest around campus and beyond.
An anti-Semitism bill was sent back for discussion at the Illinois student government meeting last night. Multiple Jewish U of I students spoke during the public comment portion of the ISG meeting, speaking on their experiences facing anti-Semitism at the university. U of I Senior President of Illini Public Affairs Committee, Haley Nagelberg, believes an increase in anti-Semitic activities on campus warrants the resolution. The students were arguing for a resolution creating a campus-wide definition of anti-Semitism based on the International Remembrance Holocaust Agency.
The larger issue that's come up on this campus the past few spring semesters has been very public divestment campaigns. And when these campaigns come about, though they are specifically discussing divesting from Israel, they're correlated, tracked by the Anti-Defamation League and other organizations, to a very large increase in anti-Semitism.
The resolution will be voted on by the Diversity and Inclusion Committee in the Student Senate office next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Speaking of anti-Semitism, Washington just passed a resolution condemning anti-Semitism and bigotry in reaction to comments made by freshman Minnesota Representative Omar. Some freshmen and female lawmakers said that they felt Omar was being treated unfairly and held to a different standard than white male Christian lawmakers.
And now, your health update. A patient in London may be the second person to ever be cured of HIV. Researchers say the unidentified man, known as the London patient, was treated with stem cell transplants from donors who carried a rare genetic disorder that made them resistant to HIV. According to the case study, the London patient has been in remission for 18 months and no longer takes antiretroviral drugs. In 2000, a man known as the Berlin patient received similar treatment and was considered cured of his HIV infection. Doctors warned that methods used on both patients may not work for everyone, but the news offers hope for some treatment strategies, including gene therapy. In other health news, the FDA has approved an antidepressant that contains a chemical similar to the illegal party drug known as Special K. The antidepressant, which will be sold as Spravato, is a nasal spray. It contains a substance similar to ketamine, a powerful anesthetic also known as Special K. Spravato is intended for patients who tried at least 2 other antidepressant drugs without success. It will be used only in medical offices where patients must be monitored for 2 hours after treatment. Other drugs for major depression are ineffective on at least 30% of patients. And the FDA says there is a need for medications to help treatment-resistant depression. The Women's Resource Center is facing adversity on campus, as it is struggling with a lack of staff, leaving students waiting up to a week to receive resources unless it's considered an emergency. The University of Illinois Senate passed a resolution to fund more positions at the Women's Resource Center Monday of this week, despite the approval to fund 2 more advocates. There was a push to create more permanent jobs. This comes with a reminder that this resource is both for students and staff members of the U of I. We've reached out to the director, Sarah Colomb, but there are so short-staffed she was unable to comment on the current situation.
The University of Illinois is taking actions to fight climate change. Construction of a second solar farm is expected to begin in the fall. This initiative is part of the campus strategic plan for sustainability. Their goal is to grow solar energy production, Solar Farm 1.0 operational since 2015, and now the university is looking to double its current renewable electricity with the construction of Solar Farm 2.0. This land was previously used to grow corn. When this project is completed, the land is expected to produce enough energy to power more than 2,000 homes. And for some more locally sustainable news, the Champaign City Council renewed the bike sharing program, which has shared turquoise bikes across Champaign-Urbana. And after spring break, electric VO Ride bikes are coming to campus. Less than a year after VO Ride and their 50-cent rides rolled onto campus, city officials have decided to extend their relationship with the company and are even considering expansion. While the 500 bike cap wasn't raised, some suggest that the campus could someday be host to over 2,500 VO Ride bikes. Officials believe that the new electric bikes will close a transportation gap for students. U of I professor Jesus Barajas says that while the VO Rides changes will help students, more adjustments could be made to provide access to those in need of rides.
You basically have to have a smartphone to be able to use them. You have to have a credit card to be able to use them because they need to link to your account. And so finding ways to avoid that for people who might not have bank accounts, who might not have smartphones, reducing membership costs, things like that that pay attention to the cost and the way that people access the bikes can help.
Barajas also shared that while electric bikes could potentially be a safety hazard, the new bikes could create new transportation opportunities for those with physical limitations. Coming up after the break, Emily Steinmetz has your full weekend weather forecast.
Then, in honor of Women's History Month, here's a woman you should know about.
It is no ordinary work which we are sent to do, and it comes to us under no ordinary circumstances. We are not here to reproduce, in this new locality, some old, well-known style of college or university. The hungry eyes of toiling millions are turned, with mingled hope and fear, upon us to see what new and better solution we can possibly offer of the great problems on which their well-being and destiny depend.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned to this week's edition of UI7 News.
This past week, Alabama was hit with a deadly EF4 tornado. The tornado took 23 lives and left many others injured. Among those killed were children from all ages. Authorities say they do not expect the death toll of 23 to change days after searching. But while the community members try to cope with the loss of homes, businesses, families, and friends, officers are trying to prepare for another storm that is set to come this weekend. The storm system is anticipated to be strong come Saturday evening.
We'll have to keep an eye on Alabama this weekend.
Absolutely. Tornadoes have caused a lot of damage this winter, even in our local Taylorville area in December. But it doesn't seem like Urbana-Champaign is at risk anytime soon. Emily, what's the forecast looking like?
That's right. Thanks, Mike. Currently, we are under a winter weather advisory here in Champaign-Urbana. We have a high of 27 tonight with 1 to 3 inches of snow accumulating. As you can see, we have a few flurries right now, but it's really going to pick up later. Moving into tomorrow, it's going to be a little bit warmer, 40 degrees, but mostly cloudy skies with northeast winds at 11 miles per hour. So you're still going to want to bundle up. It's going to be a chilly day, but it's not going to be too bad. Maybe leave your gloves at home. Moving into our local temperatures today, we have Danville and Bloomington Normal with the lowest temps at 29. Moving into Mattoon, Charleston, we have a high of 32, which is our highest locally. Then Decatur and Champaign tied with 31. Hotter and more national temperatures are coming our way right now with Miami at 74 degrees, Los Angeles at 62, Phoenix coming in at 78 with the highest temperatures on our national map right now. That is some hot weather. I bet it's super humid, ready for some spring training. Love to be there, but around us we have Cleveland with 26, Minneapolis with 21, New York with 24, so I'm glad I'm not there. Champaign-Urbana isn't that bad with 31. Moving into our 5-day forecast, we have Saturday with the highest temps of those 5 days, but it is going to rain. There's going to be severe thunderstorms later in the afternoon with the rain that accumulated in the early morning. Friday, we have the high of 40, Saturday 49. Sunday, we're looking at 43 with some cloudy skies, but some sun's going to come out from Sunday moving into Monday with a high of 43. Tuesday, temps are going back up again, but the rain is coming out. So it's going to be 46 with some rain showers. That's all for your weather today. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Emily, for the weather updates. Now for a flood of musical news. Local classical pianist Jia Ying-jeon has recently released a debut album. She has performed internationally in places like Spain, Italy, Russia, and her home country, Taiwan. She's also won prizes internationally. Her CD includes Beethoven, Schubert, and fine piano sonatas. She says she tries to connect with the composer the best she can when she's playing.
And try to feel what composers really want to express, and try to put myself in their shoes and see if that is the right thing, or if that is appropriate. Is that enough for me to express what they want to tell?
She is working on an artist diploma at the U of I and will continue performing internationally.
There are so many exhibits and attractions on campus that many students in the CO community don't know about, including this historical exhibit. The Samuel S. Stewart in America's Banjo exhibit explores the legacy of America's diverse banjo traditions and craftsmanship of Stewart's banjos during the late 19th century. Stewart's interest in banjo performance started after opening his very own banjo company in the late 1870s. Stewart was finally credited as America's most accomplished African-American banjo artist of the 19th century by advertising his instruments and teaching methods.
So we have essentially a large collection of Stewart banjos. He is a builder of the 19th century who modernizes the whole banjo from its African traditions and moves into the banjo as art instrument.
The exhibit is free and open to the public until September 19th. There's plenty more coming after the break.
But before we go, our UI7 sports anchor Ori Benatar is here to preview our sports update.
Yeah, thanks guys. Illinois men's basketball has their final home game tonight and the women's season came to a close. Your sports news is next. Welcome back to UI7 News, and it's time for your sports update. It's March, there won't be much madness in Champaign. Just 2 games remain for the Illini men, and tonight could be one to remember for many reasons. After their 5-point win over Northwestern on Sunday, Illinois will honor its seniors tonight at 7 when they host Indiana in their final game at State Farm Center for the 2018-2019 season. Aaron Jordan will be one of 3 seniors honored, but he is the lone scholarship senior recognized who spent all 4 of his years of eligibility as an Illini. His 10-rebound performance against the Wildcats moved Illinois a step closer to a Big Ten bye and got Coach Brad Underwood speaking about his guys as more than basketball players.
But it's improvement. And when guys improve, as a coach, that's all you can ask for. And then when you got really good human beings on top of it, man, I go to bed every night with a smile on my face and looking forward and eager to the next day.
The Illinois players hope to keep a smile on Underwood's face as a win tonight against the Hoosiers will give Illinois a first-round bye in the Big Ten tournament in Chicago next week. The Illini haven't had a bye in the conference tournament since 2017 when they had the 9th seed. With 2 games to go in the regular season, Illinois can be as high as a 7th seed or as low as the 12th seed. The Illini women's basketball season ended yesterday with a Big Ten tournament loss to Purdue by 12 in Indianapolis. The loss to the Boilermakers ends Illinois' season at 10-20, the 4th straight season the Illini have lost at least 20 games. Senior Alex Whittinger registered 4 blocks in the loss to become the all-time block leader in Illinois history with 274, passing Charisma Penn. Nancy Fate will enter her 3rd season next fall with 3 departures, as Illinois will try to have its first winning season since 2013. The Big Ten tournament rolls on today in Indianapolis with the 2nd round. One of our very own director, Demi Ramirez, stepped into the ring this weekend, and she did pretty well in a 3-round fight that she won as a member of the Illini boxing team. It is a club team that currently ranks #1 in the Big Ten. As we take a look at her fighting technique, as you'll see, Demi is in the gray shirt with the blue gloves, and she's actually with us in studio today. She goes in on that. I mean, she's going fast in there, low body shots. She's got the belt with us here today. Demi, congrats on the win. It's going good. So, how was that fight?
It was hard, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of work. I was exhausted by the 3rd round, but oh, okay. You want to see my belt?
Yeah, let's see. I want to see it.
There we go.
Now you got to hold it, like you're the champ,
I
because
feel
you are
like
the champ.
I'm in like wrestling, WWE.
Right. And when's your next fight?
It might be in a week or so.
All right. Well, we'll have to take each other on soon.
Oh,
maybe.
definitely,
All
definitely.
right. We're gonna send it back to the desk now, guys.
That belt looks great on you, Demi. And now for entertainment news. After his release from Cook County Jail, R. Kelly had a meltdown interview with journalist Gayle King. Kelly's live-in girlfriends Jocelyn Savage and Azriel Clary will sit down next to share their truth with journalist King.
In other entertainment news, castmates, fans, and family members are paying tribute to Luke Perry. Perry is known for his breakout role as Dylan McKay in Beverly Hills 90210. His most recent role was Archie's dad in the CW show Riverdale. The producers have felt so much affection for him that they plan to dedicate the rest of the season to him. In other shocking entertainment news, Alex Trebek announced yesterday on the Jeopardy show, on a YouTube page of his Jeopardy show, about his pancreatic cancer diagnosis.
Now, normally the prognosis for this is not very encouraging, but I'm going to fight.
UI7 News wishes Alex Trebek the best of luck in his life journey.
We'll wrap up this update up in Idaho, where 2 little boys are being called heroes right now for saving their bus driver's life. As CNN's Anna Silver explains, a normal ride home from school could have gone very differently if these boys hadn't jumped into action.
February 27th, Larry Borchard says he was on a routine route to drive West Canyon Elementary students home when he got a massive headache and lost his vision.
The last thing I really remember is trying to get the bus parked and safely and take care of the kids.
That's when these 2 young boys sprang into action.
So I went up there and I said, "Hey Larry, you okay?" It was just a normal bus ride, and my friend Larry had a little heart attack or a stroke.
Jacob Ferris says he knew there was only one thing to do.
I was thinking of the criminal injustice shows, and then I was thinking 911. And I'm telling them, call it now.
The boys say they stayed on the phone with dispatch to tell them where they were located. Now they've been honored for their bravery with coins from first responders at a special assembly.
He's so nice to me, and he's an amazing bus driver. I feel happy, and I missed him. He's my best friend.
And the feeling goes both ways.
They're my heroes. I get very emotional when I talk about them and what they did. They did for me, and I was trying to do what was best for them.
Wow, and just what a touching story. A bunch of great young kids stepping up and really saving that man's life.
Yeah, that was a really remarkable story indeed. A good way to end our show. And what's been a snowy Champaign, right, Emily?
Yeah, especially today and going into this weekend. We can't expect much, but hopefully the roads are safe and good for traveling. We have Siblings Weekend, first annual, so people will be traveling in and out. Hopefully it's safe with all the snow and ice.
Also, it's daylight savings time, so you'll get a little less sleep this weekend.
Not the best. I hate losing that hour of sleep. Oh, boy.
Well, just stay tuned. Follow us on UI7 News on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay up to date with the latest area news. That's all we have. Thanks again for joining us this evening.
Take care, Champaign-Urbana. From UI7 News, I'm Mike Foyles.
And I'm Ariel Majeski. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week.